everyone, and welcome to the Destiny Machinima podcast. My name is Zeon. I am your host, just like always. Today we have a very special episode for you. We will be talking about current writing tropes, storytelling things related to some TV shows and movies that we've been noticing lately that we want to talk about. So we're not going to be talking too much about Machinima today, but we are going to be talking about storytelling, which is extremely important in Machinima. Digital saying I'm talking too much, but I'm the host, damn it, so I get to talk all I want. I'm the one responsible for doing the intro, and I will do it correctly. So we're talking about storytelling today, and we're going to talk about a huge announcement for July of this year. So first, I want to introduce my fellow compatriots in arms. Above me, I have...
I'm Tempest Knight. I'm the creator of Rift, From the Ashes, and Headhunters.
And I am Digital Curse. I'm creator of Fighter Weasel.
He never lets me introduce. I'm supposed to point. He never lets me fucking do it.
Together, you know. I had to.
And my name is Zeon Remnants. I write the Machinima Team Titan. Buy my shirts. And I'm going to be hosting the podcast, like I said. First, we have a major announcement, and we wanted to get this out of the way first for those of you that have short attention spans and don't want to listen to us ramble on for an hour. Do you want me to do it, or who wants to do it? Who wants to say the big announcement for July?
Man of the hour, Mr. Curse.
Me? This is your channel to forget, and I think it should be you.
All right, well, we're all going to be going to Guardian Con. Mr. Digital got his ticket. We're going to be crashing at Zeon's place, so you can come down and meet us. If not, we're going to have a live stream. It's going to be a whole thing, but we're all going to Guardian Con, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, and I announced on my Twitter a couple weeks ago, I did get approved for a booth. Now, my booth is more for my cosplay efforts and my t-shirts, and we're going to be 3D printing Gambit coins and Strange coins and all kind of stuff for sale. But they're going to be hanging out with me at the booth, and I have some people that are going to drop by and hang out. If anyone's in the Orlando area and you guys want to see us, either at Guardian Con or if you want to go out and do something with us, let me know. I live right by the airport, Central Florida. We can go wherever. So it's going to be awesome for us to be all together the first time ever of all time, and we're going to do a special. Podcast live because we're all going to be together in the same place, so we don't have to worry about trying to record all kind of stuff, doing it live, whatever. So that'd be really cool. You guys can send us questions and talk to us and everything. And I don't know what that hand signal was. I think I'm gonna get mugged. What was that?
It was a stopwatch.
Oh.
Hours. But that's okay. We enjoy it. Start with the topic.
All right, so we're going to go and start on our topics here, and the first thing I wanted to bring up, because Game of Thrones Episode 5 just came out. I know Tempest doesn't watch Game of Thrones because he's a scrub.
Wait.
But this last episode of Game of Thrones was compared to The Last Jedi, which I thought was really interesting. Actually, no, I take that back. Not this episode. The Episode 3 was compared to The Last Jedi, because similar things happened. And so the funny thing is that the writers of this season of Game of Thrones are going to be writing a new trilogy of Star Wars movies. So now the fact that this season hasn't been all that great, now Star Wars fans are concerned. Also, considering they're supposed to be writing Old Republic era of Star Wars, so that really concerns fans, because that's a beloved time of Star Wars, era. Anyway, yeah. So I bring that up because there's been this emergence of subverting your expectations or audience expectations in cinema and TV and things like that, where it seems like there's things building to something, and then all of a sudden it just goes in another direction that makes no sense whatsoever. There was no reason for it, no rhyme, no nothing, and it was just the director trying to, lull the audience or something like that. So I want to know what do you guys think of this trope? It's been happening. I want to say Last Jedi was the biggest example of that, and now we have Game of Thrones, where it seemed like it was building to something with the Night King and Jon Snow and all this, and all of a sudden Arya comes in like an anime character and she kills him out of nowhere like a ninja. So what do you guys think of this 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 trend that's happening in storytelling right now.
Did you want to go first?
Yeah, all right, okay. I mean, it's trying to do something new, but at the same time, it's not doing it very well. And this is definitely a really stand-on point that the more, like, directors and more people come in to do each episode, it's just too many cooks spoil the broth. So, like, the example of Star Wars, like, obviously, was by J.J. Abrams, who did the first one. And then now it's Rian Johnson. Like, he had a different vision for Star Wars. I mean, if he did episode 7, I guarantee it would have been similar to episode 8. Like, he'd probably want to do his own vision.
Yeah.
And that's the only problem with bringing people in to kind of change what's going on, what's already been planted in seed. So it's recommended that if you're going to make something, or at least like something that's kind of very safe, it's best to, like, kind of keep the same directors, keep the same people in all the way through, because they know what's going on. So, example with, like, Game of Thrones, obviously they had no writing material, but that doesn't mean they can still get George R. R. Martin to come in and say, hey, do you think this is good? Get approval and shit. No, they just got their stuck up their own ass and think, this is what we think is going to happen. It's like, no, this is George's project. You should have gone to him first. Even, like, HBO said that, you can do 10 episodes.
Yeah, I heard that.
And they're like, no, it's we want to do
the story. This last season feels super rushed.
Yeah, because they thought it was so good that if it all fitted well, but obviously no,
it's not.
It's clearly not.
It's not. Unfortunately. Yeah, and I definitely agree with what you said. I feel like if you're gonna do a trilogy or like whatever, you need to either keep the same director or keep, like Marvel has, a writing team or a creative team that knows where the characters are going, and then, like, let the director fill in the blanks, but you still getting to that same place and hitting those same story beats. And it seems to me like Star Wars this trilogy did not have that. Like, JJ supposedly had an outline for all the 3 movies, but he didn't do the 3 movies. It was supposed to be JJ does 7, Ryan does 8, and Colin Trevorrow does 9. Colin Trevorrow did Jurassic World. He left, supposedly because Rian Johnson killed Luke Skywalker and he didn't know about it, which I think is interesting.
Getting a phone call. I'm going to tag in the next... Hold on.
Well, he's... shit, here we go again.
Why is he... There's always him.
Go.
Alright, fine. Me and you will talk about Game of Thrones then, since he don't watch Game of Thrones anyway. So, what were your thoughts? So this is the subverting expectations thing I'm talking about. So, like in Star Wars, there was hints that Rey was like someone important's daughter, like Luke Skywalker or something like that, and it was like all about like, who is Snoke? Who he seems important. Then they just kill him off unceremoniously, and the same thing happened in Game of Thrones with the Night King and Jon Snow, and it seems like they were gonna have a fight, like, building up, and even in the episode they almost had a fight, and then Night King was like, zombie horde activate, and then Jon Snow gets separated, and then Arya's the one that kills the Night King, and nothing was ever explained about the Night King at all, like who he is or nothing. Like it was like, it was weird. It was just strange for Game of Thrones.
For me, it's not the problem of what's actually happening. Like, I don't care. I actually liked it was Arya that kills the Night King to someone new. Like, I still.
Arya kills everyone, though. To be fair. Arya kills everyone.
She didn't do anything in episode 5, though. But
I'm saying prior to this, if you're on her list, she kills you basically. So I like Arya.
Yeah, I feel like all those happening, like, the major plot points, like with Daenerys burning King's Landing and Night King getting killed by Arya. I think it's still a George Martin thing, but it's because, like I said earlier, it's because it's so rushed into, like, packed 6 episodes, 7 episodes. So you don't have time to, like, develop of, like, the build-up, basically. Like, I feel like the battle should have been at least 2 parts.
Which battles?
Night King.
Okay,
Night King.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Both technically, yeah. And
so what you're saying, just to be clear, what you're saying is that in Game of Thrones case, this is not you don't feel like it's subverting expectations. Instead, you feel like there wasn't enough time to build to what they actually did.
Yeah, it's just because everything's so rushed so much and they try to pack into one episode. It just doesn't feel right. It just feels like it's just doing it for the sake of just airtime. And really, if they had a lot of time building up the characters, for example, like with Daenerys, like she did a complete 180 of what she'd been referring to, but people knew it was going to happen. That's not the problem. I didn't mind her burning down what she did.
I did. That made no sense to me. But that whole story. Okay, so let me explain the Tempest real quick.
Too fast.
Yeah. They could have done that still if they had worked for it. But so Tempest. So you know who Daenerys Targaryen is, right? She's Emilia Clarke's character, blonde-haired chick.
All I know is
like Strike.
Okay. Anyway, so this is what happened. So this character since season 1 has been building to try and take the throne, right? And she's like this slave breaker of chains. She frees the slaves, all this stuff. And she has these dragons, because she's the mother of dragons. And she has killed people. I saw this argument a lot. She's killed people before. Yeah, but she killed who? Like slave masters. She killed nobles that were assholes. She let her brother die, who was a dick and like abused her and shit. She never killed innocent women and children. And then all of a sudden, she finally gets to the throne. She wins the battle, and from the director's explanation, because they killed her advisor, after she wins, she starts just killing a bunch of innocent people out of nowhere. Like, they win the battle, they surrender, she's on top of the tower, she's like looking like, and then all of a sudden she starts going crazy and shit, and she starts wiping out people, and even possibly killing her own men. Like, it made no sense whatsoever for her to do that.
How is she doing this?
She's on a dragon.
Oh, okay.
And the dragon's just torching people left and right. But she had already won the fight. She had destroyed the Iron Fleet. She destroyed all the scorpions that could have killed the dragon. These are these big, huge things that shoot these giant bolts that kill dragons. She destroyed all of that. The queen was in her tower locked up. She was screwed. And the army surrendered. She won. And then all of a sudden, she just decides to turn heel and start burning everybody, and it made no damn sense. And I was just like, what is, like, it was like one of those, like, Last Jedi things where they just did it because you didn't see it coming. I don't care what people say. That's not in Daenerys' character to kill innocent people.
Yeah, I saw that coming, but the problem is it's just a stupid reason why. I mean, just because of the bells. I mean, it should have been a lot more explained, like, build up to... And then something refers foreshadowing kind of thing, but there's nothing.
If even something so small as like they surrendered and it was a fake out and they try to kill her again, then I could see her being like, "Fuck this, you're all gonna die." But she had won cleanly and 100%. She won, and they didn't try to like pull a scorpion in the back and shoot her from behind. Like they did nothing. They were defeated. And then she's like, "I'm gonna kill you all anyway." Like,
huge plot armor.
Yeah, well, he was but it made no sense. You said you saw it. You said you saw it coming. Like how? What you thought she was gonna kill everyone in the city? Like,
yeah, I think like just because of the visor, just when she said Jakaris, I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's just enough reason. Like, but still,
that's ridiculous, though. Yeah, exactly. All right,
I would prefer something different.
I feel bad because Tempest is on the conversation. So let's talk about Last Jedi real quick. Last Jedi...
Wait, I have something to add to
what?
that.
Okay.
You know what we really need to be talking about is where did she get Starbucks from? Like, did she go in the future? What's happening there?
Starbucks got like it was like estimated $2 billion of free ad revenue, because promoting is expensive. TV time is expensive, right? So they got $2 billion of free advertising because they were on Game of Thrones. That's hilarious.
Starbucks for the love that mistake.
But I can't. Oh wait, go. Me? I can't add to subverting expectations because it's been like going back all the way to what was it, Iron Man 3, and you mentioned the MCU and how they have Kevin Feige. He's the guy who keeps everything straight.
Yep.
But there's a way to do it where if more directors are coming in, there's somebody who says this is the bottom line. Like with us, there's someone that says this is the bottom line. We usually work together with it. However, things happen that way. Anyways, Iron Man 3, people are like, oh no, the Mandarin. And I will say...
Oh yeah, that's right.
I
hated that twist.
I don't think I actually enjoyed the twist because it's like, you really want to see Ben Kingsley fight Iron Man. Like,
but I love the serious terrorist, like, because it's based off like the Iraqi war, and like obviously it's like basically, using him terrorist, and then when you find out he's just Ben Kingsley, like, and it's just like, come on. And then you get that scrubby disabled guy, like, I'm the man.
Okay, well, I guess this is my argument. It's like, remember the comic guy in South Park? He's all like, it's not in the comics. It's not the comics. I mean, basically, you don't want to know what's going to happen.
But that still didn't happen in the comics, though. Like, this whole terrorist take on it. That's what I liked about it. Because in the comics version of Mandarin, he looks, he looked like a weird inverted color Doctor Strange. But it's weird. I liked what it did, but then that stupid twist happened. It was just ridiculous.
Iron Man 3 is the worst movie out of the thing. And that is reserved for Thor. And maybe the problem was with 4. They tried to make him too serious when 4 was the most ridiculous character ever. So like when
Fat Thor,
Fat Thor,
it's like embrace the ridiculousness, and that's what we go for Ragnarok, and this makes it work so much.
It's like before we started this, I said, "Man, I'm gaining weight. I know why I'm gaining. I have an excuse for why I'm gaining weight. I'm gonna cosplay as Fat Thor."
Spoilers for Endgame, by the way. So
we'll talk about that later. Also, I would like to discuss spoiler culture just in general and how it's kind of gotten out of hand. But we can do that in a bit. What was our next topic?
I think Last Jedi, was it?
Yeah. So actually, my next topic kind of goes into Last Jedi a little bit. So. The subverting expectations thing where, and I just want to be clear what I mean by that. So, like, it's clear that this character is either going to do this thing or they're supposed to do this thing, or it's like hinted, and then when the time comes, like, something else completely different happens. So like in Game of Thrones, like I said, it was like Jon Snow's going to fight the Night King. The Destiny, and he gets brought back to life to fight the Night King and all this shit, and he never fights the Night King. He gets cock-blocked by zombies, right? And Arya kills him instead. That's what I mean by subverting expectations. Like, I don't mind that Arya killed the Night King, but I feel like Jon and the Night King should have had the fight, and then maybe Jon was about to die, and then Arya comes in and saves him. That would have been better, because then at least we get the Destiny and everything that was hinted about Jon Snow fighting the Night King, but you still get Arya being the hero at the end. That's what I mean. So just like in Last Jedi or Force Awakens, we had like, oh, Rey might be a Skywalker because the lightsaber called out to her. She had all these visions, and it seems like they might know who she is based on how they acted toward her, things like that. Her parents end up being no one, and literally the reasoning for that was that's like Ryan was just kind of like, yeah, like, everyone thought she's a Skywalker, haha, and so like or just like with Snoke's like the big bad guy of the last of Force Awakens in his trilogy, and he's gonna be the final boss, and then he gets his legs cut out from under him, literally. So that's what I mean by subverting expectations. Like, it seems like we're building to something, and then all of a sudden, just to swerve the audience, to be unexpected, you didn't see that coming, your fan theory's wrong, like, then they just switch it without having a good storyline reason for that switch to have happened. That's what I mean by it. So when it comes to Last Jedi, that was like the big issue with Last Jedi, besides the out of place comedy and things like that. But other issue with Last Jedi I felt was the characters, even from Force Awakens into Last Jedi, some of them, they learned lessons in the movie before. So like, and I'm fully aware that in real life this happens, but as far as storytelling goes, I feel like once a character learns a lesson, they shouldn't learn the lesson again. Like, they should learn from it, and like, that's the moral of the story, and then they move on. Whereas I feel like in Last Jedi, Luke, who's been around for X amount of years, he learned these lessons, and in Last Jedi he's going back on, And even Finn from the movie before, like a day earlier in the canon, like he learned like I can't run away from the First Order, and then in Last Jedi, what does he want to do? We have to get away from the First Order. Like I'm like, you just learned the lesson. Like why are you doing it again? So like how do you guys feel about when writers do that? Where like a character learns a lesson, or they're one way in like a previous movie, and then the next movie it seems like without good cause they're completely different characters.
Okay. Let's see. So you said that people learn their lessons and then after that it's done, right? Well, that's not necessarily true for people just in general. Like you can learn your lesson and not be a drunk, but then the next couple of days you start drinking again. That a writer said this before. I don't know if you ever saw that. The Last Airbender, the cartoon series, not the movie. That movie sucked. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so this character named Zuko, and throughout his entire arc, he is chasing after the main character because he needs him to restore his honor. It's a whole thing. Now, eventually, his sister takes over, and the guy is no longer able to capture the main character. And so he starts to, become a good guy. But when he presented with the opportunity to take the main character again and kill him, he takes it because he hasn't fully gotten over his character arc. It's like a whole thing. He comes full circle. I recommend y'all watch this series. It's really nice.
Well, yeah.
But there's ways that characters...
But based on what your example though is different. He hadn't learned the lesson yet. There was nothing definitive that made him like stop being a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like in Force Awakens, like Finn was like running from the First Order the whole time. Then at the climax of the movie, he stands up to Kylo Ren. He gets his ass kicked, but he stops running away. And then in Last Jedi, the very beginning, he goes through the same story arc in Last Jedi. In the very beginning, he runs away, and then at the very end, again, he goes to face his fears head on. And it's like, we just did this last movie. Like, where's the character progression moving forward? Like, that's what I mean by characters having to learn lessons again. If you can do that, like, if something major happens, and then, but like, then I feel like it stunts progression when you don't have the character learn from their mistakes, or unless that's the character's like Cersei in Game of Thrones. She never learns from her mistakes. She doesn't learn from shit. She don't give a damn. She does what she wants. Like, that's her character, though. But, like, a good character like Finn or something, or Luke Skywalker, for example, there's no... I don't know.
I would say with Luke that it's possible that he just regressed. And, like, with age, you can regress.
You can, but I feel like there wasn't enough reason for him to do that. Like...
Well, unless we had like a movie of his 20, whatever, how many years? 40 years? Unless we had a movie from the time he came and then the time he came to be. We don't know what happened during that time.
That's the thing, though. But that's my point. We don't know what happened. So at this point, we're speculating why he's being a hobo on this planet for no reason. And if they had showed more, I wanted to see more flashbacks of him and Kylo, like, in their training, and maybe, like, they're sparring, and Kylo, like, gets fucking pissed off, and and Luke's, like, freaking out, or something else, like, more, instead of just, like, I tried to kill... and then Luke tries to kill his nephew in his sleep. Like, that one sentence alone is not Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker couldn't even kill his father at the end. You think he's going to kill his best friend and his sister's son in his sleep? Like, what kind of serial killer ass shit is that? He's not... I know he's voicing... You know what that was? Wait, no, that was an audition for Child's Play. Like, that's what that was. Like, like, what the hell? It's just,
Oh my god. Yeah. Digital...
Yeah. Yeah, it's like those flashbacks. It's like, because it's like from two different perspectives. You go one from Luke's like, oh, this happened, and it shows like one thing, and then like Kylo says another one, and it shows the same one, but from a different perspective. It makes him more evil. I'm just like, just pick up your fucking mind. It's like, it's one thing to have expectations, but don't just flip it over every goddamn time we go back to the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Just pick one, like, and obviously it doesn't resolve that either, so we don't know who was telling the truth.
Yeah.
Assumed Luke was, but
at the very end,
still doesn't know.
The idea was that at the very end, Luke gave the full story, and because when he told it to her the first time, he kind of he excluded some parts from his story. That was the idea. Yeah. Well, even like in Game of Thrones, like for example, Jaime, it seems like his character was progressing. You know, he got redeemed. His hand got cut off. He left Cersei. He's gonna fight for the North. He's with Brienne, and then randomly in the episode before, he goes back to Cersei. It's like, for what? Like what? Why? Like, that just killed his whole growth as a character.
I thought he was going to kill her, like in the books, but no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
In the books, he was supposed to. He's supposed to be strangled by a brother, but yeah, well, the comics. So, but yeah, that's what people assuming, because that's this whole prophecy thing, but it didn't happen because we didn't put that in the movie. It's just like so they could have done it.
I will say
it would be cool to do.
I will say that I did like the fact that she came from nothing. What's her face, Rey? Because how many times are we gonna have the chosen one character? We can't ever focus on somebody who's just a normal dude.
And I agree with you, but the thing is, in Force Awakens, there was a lot of hints that she was a Skywalker, with the lightsaber and all this stuff, and this trilogy is about the Skywalkers, so like that makes sense. Like, for example, you can do that with, like, in Rogue One, Jyn was basically a nobody. She was a daughter of an Imperial scientist. Like, she's not anything. She's not a Jedi. She's nothing. But she had this, you can do that there. And if they were going to do that with Rey, then in Force Awakens, there should have been no mention, no hinting of anything regarding Luke or nothing like that. Then I would be like, okay, but I feel like there was too many hints in Force Awakens for her not to be someone's daughter or a virgins in the Force or some shit like that, like Anakin or something something. Especially with how fast she progresses as a Jedi for no reason. That would be like right now, if in the next episode of Team Titan, Brun, like, solos Crota and Oryx at the same time, and then, like, smashes Atheon into the past or some shit. Like, that's not he's not that strong to do that. And we'll talk about Machinima, because I bring this stuff up because, like, do you guys ever think about that? Like for example, I'm writing season 2 of Team Titan, and, like, I have an idea for, like, some characters, but then I have to constantly go back and be like, does this make sense to what they did before? Is this a lesson they already learned? Am I, like, retreading something? Or am I doing something, like, out of character that makes no sense for this character to be doing? Even though it's a good idea, it might not be good for this character. Do you guys ever have that, like, discussion with yourself when you're writing, like, from previous seasons? Or am I just anal like that and I think about that shit?
Yeah, I always have a look, like, who's really, like, not doing great if in terms of, like abilities. So there's a couple of characters that I feel like isn't subpar, and it may be like an annoying trope of them, or like maybe they find them annoying. So what I kind of drew then for future then kind of fix on those amends. It's like with season 2, for example, like, people were just saying, where's the original fire team? Where's the original fire team? And there was a legit reason for that. It's because they were working on Guardians, which is another Machinima.
Yeah. So
I kind of did something in place. So it was kind of difficult. I needed to make characters that kind of fitted in with the story and also do something new. But it's obviously I had to bring them in the cameo because obviously I didn't want them to be completely different. You don't have that expectation of maybe a mention or like a cameo, so I did that as well. But it's nothing wrong with trying something different, but as long as it's relevant to what you're trying to talk about, that's the most important part.
That had nothing to do with the question that I asked.
No, I kind of went on that.
You do that. This is why I hate texting you.
Okay, well,
I'm having a conversation myself.
Let me give it a chat. Let me give it a try.
The question was writing characters in sequels or seasons and keep maintaining their character instead of just the next season they're whatever acting the opposite of how they acted last season for no reason.
Question. I look at it, and then if it's like I did, like, Scorch was used to be a different character, like, until, like, I influenced him from, like, another character from, like, say, Samurai Jack, for example, and then I implemented that in, and it was so much better, and from the feedback I had, and also, like, whatever, like anything new ideas come up as well that might change, and I might add it to the certain characters instead of just making a new character overall. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's So I didn't answer that question first. I just rambled on.
Well, let's see. Characters going into different seasons. I've only done it once because From the Ashes is continuing off a Rift, and there was that one period where I was in between Rifts and From the Ashes, and everyone's all like, what Digital says, where's Rift going to be done? But basically, I brought over Erevan into From the Ashes, and I kept him the same for the most part, but I'm also trying to make sure that he learns his lessons because he's dealing with the loss of Sierra right now.
See, already a better story writer than Ryan Johnson. Learned his lesson.
Yeah, he's dealing with loss of Sierra. He's learned his lessons from last time. He's trying not to keep anything from her, but they're also separate right now, and you got to deal with this war. So there's characters that I'm bringing over. I guess for character tropes, I'm trying to avoid those. I have stuff down the line, but for the most part, my characters are, based off of tropes. Like Gareth is a basic ass leader. He's the dude. Yeah. But I'm gonna break him down through the seasons to show that he's more complex. And I think starting it that way so that people can get invested into, oh, I know this kind of character, and then slowly devolving them because he's gonna go through some shit later on, and it's gonna be crazy. And that's what I'm trying to do. But I think I answered your question.
No, yeah. Is there an example that you guys can think of a character that you really liked, just in general? I don't care what medium it is. And then, like, a sequel came out or another book series or something, and that character just acted nothing like how they acted prior, without a reason for them to be acting different. We already named, like, Luke Skywalker. Like Jaime went back on his lesson type thing. Tyrion in Game of Thrones. He's the dumbest fucking character in this season, and he's always been the smartest character. He's made so many mistakes. It's insane.
The funny thing is, there's interviews of like Emilia Clarke, Peter Dinklage, and Kit Harington.
I've seen those.
All of them are pretty much. People thought they were joking at first when they were saying like, "Oh, this is like the worst season. Oh, it's disappointing," but. They're actually true.
They're doing what? Remember when Last Jedi was going to come out and Mark Hamill had all those interviews and he was like, at first he was subtly talking shit, but then he was like, that motherfucker just didn't listen to me at all. Like I feel like that's what's happening with Game of Thrones. Like the actors are like, at first they were kind of like, ha ha ha, and now that it's out, they're like, yeah, we told them it was trash. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there any characters that you guys can think of where they change randomly? I give another example. In Resident Evil, and this goes back to bad sequels, besides, in my opinion, Last Jedi being a really bad sequel, because a bad sequel for me is a failure to follow up on the previous movie, which Last Jedi didn't follow up on shit. Or it followed up in the most unsatisfying ways possible. But Resident Evil Final Chapter... And as wonky as Resident Evil was, I was really enjoying it for what it was. I knew that there were issues with it, but I liked it. But then Final Chapter, it just completely, it changed its own lore randomly to suit the story for no reason. It depowered its main villain for J-Bear from Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones was hot at the time. And so, like, Wesker, for example, in Resident Evil is a super powerful, he's bonded with the virus in a different way, and he's, like, the only one that can fight Alice one-on-one, right? And then in Final Chapter, he's a punk, and he gets killed by a door. Like, what the fuck? Like, they replace his character with the guy who plays Jorah from Game of Thrones. I can't think of the guy's name right now. And like we never saw Alice fight Wesker one-on-one. It made no sense, and I feel like they just did it because they got this guy back who did Resident Evil before. They brought him back as a clone, or no, the other guy was a clone. This is the real one, whatever the fuck. And so like they just made Wesker like a punk, and when he was a badass in afterlife. So that's my example for something like that. What about you guys? Can you think of anything, a character that change for no reason? Like in Endgame, like Hawkeye to Ronin made sense. There was a reason for it, and even though he was doing stuff out of character, they gave a good reason to begin the film because his family died, and he was like, "Fuck it!" Like, you know, he had a way better reason of killing people than like Daenerys did in Game of Thrones. So like, at least there was something about, you know, for that. So
Yeah.
Um,
I honestly can't think of any.
characters changed. You know, I guess if you're watching like a long-running series, and
Yeah.
there's like a third episode, they do something out of character, but then oops, it's back to normal again
Yeah.
when the story gets on. I don't really have anything specific. I really didn't enjoy Thor 3 and how the fact that he seemed to not care at all about his friends when they all died. But you know, I guess they figured that out, finished that up in Endgame, so I guess it's a through line, so it worked that way. You know what I'm talking about? His fat friend and his elf-like
Oh,
beast,
yeah.
they died instantly, and no one said anything about it. But I guess Thor found out later, and that's why he's Fat Thor. So maybe I don't have a reason.
Okay, fine. Here,
No, a bit well.
I'll ask a more general question. What's the worst sequel in your opinion of all time? For me, Last Jedi and Final Chapter, but that's what I was saying. Last Jedi. I could have a whole podcast talking about Last Jedi. It'll last me a year.
I've seen guys like 10 hours going over it.
I could
frame, and I'm like, bruh, it's
not
never that-
even. Not even. I remember when I saw the movie the first time. I looked at my girlfriend at the time. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I just watched.
I don't
Like,
know.
it was instant for me. I was confused, and it took me like 2 hours after the movie. I talking to my friend, and then we picked all these things. Like, we're like, what the? Anyway, so worst sequel. What's the worst sequel in your opinion, and why?
Transformers 2, it didn't make any sense, and it was.
I remember what Transformers 2 was about.
It was one of the worst movies.
Was that the one with the robots, like
Yes.
the ghetto robot or whatever? Was that I hated. Oh, I agree with you. That was. I was like, what is this?
Transformers 2 was the worst sequel.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was horrible. I was like, what is going? They were annoying. They weren't even. Yeah, that was bad. That was the Last Jedi of Transformers. That's not saying much because Transformers isn't that great anyway. But yeah, I remember that. That was really bad.
The first and the third one are okay.
Yeah, the first one I liked.
First one.
Yeah,
That's about it. I checked out after that.
Yeah. For me, I used to like the remake of The Mummy and The Mummy Returns with Brendan Fraser.
Oh, yeah.
I loved those films. But
Oh, the
then
third one.
they fucking third one.
Yeah.
It was like completely different. I was like, why? Why is it like that's just like expectations on a huge level, like, and it wasn't even good.
It was. Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in. So that's my worst sequel. Like when I was growing up, like, and then you can think of it as like the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, the Michael Bay one. That second one sucked horribly. Hated it.
I didn't watch the new
like
ones
the
at
first
all.
one too much.
Anything with
The
Michael Bay.
second one's bad.
Anything
Then when
with-
I stopped. But there's so many, like, well, I'll say mediocre movies that has bad sequels in it, but this is too much. Like, I could say, like, I really don't like, I know these aren't technically sequels, but they're remakes more than anything.
Yeah.
But I really don't like how they're doing the Disney live action films. Just for the
Actually, there's
sake
a
of-
question about. Someone asked about that, so hold that thought.
Oh, is there? Okay.
I'm gonna segue into fan questions. I'm gonna omit anything related to Machinima. I think there's only two. So trying to stay on topic here. And we've already rambled on for like an hour already as it is. So I'm gonna go over non-Machinima related questions, which there's a lot of anyway. So Icarus asks, what's your favorite movie and why is it your favorite? For me, that's hard. Clearly,
I wonder
that
which
shit's
time.
hard. What's my favorite movie? I don't know. Let me look at the wall and like.
I'm trying to figure it out too.
You
know what? I love the first Avengers movie. It makes me laugh to this day. It's still action packed, and I could probably watch it for a couple of days and find something new that I didn't see the first time. It was like groundbreaking. And,
Especially, you must have been hyped so much when you saw Endgame.
Yeah, I was like-
go back to New York.
yeah, when I went back to New York, I was like, oh my god.
That was really cool. I like that. I like Endgame. Endgame was a really good ending to, and I'm not even that into Marvel. I watched all the movies, but I'm not into the comics. I watched barely any cartoons about Marvel when I was a kid, maybe just like Spider-Man. I watched X-Men for sure. But like I think that Endgame was an amazing end to the series, and the sad part for me is that there's no way in hell Rise of Skywalker is going to be better at ending the series than Endgame was. It's just not going to happen because they effed it up.
I don't think they end in the series. That's the thing. It's more of a saga. They already announced.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. They're ending the Skywalker saga, and then they're moving on to a different trilogy, and it's supposedly in the Old Republic timeline, which is what the Game of Thrones writers are supposedly doing. So we'll see. But yeah, Digital. What's your favorite movie and why? Do you have a favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Blade Runner. Also another one with Harrison Ford.
Nice.
I grew up with that film, the original one,
Okay.
and I think. I don't know if it's an actual question here, but I think it has the best sequel to a film, in my opinion.
I heard it
love
was
these
good.
sequels. Yeah, if you love the first one, the second one is just on point. They really respected the atmosphere and ambience and just how the portrayal of the characters in the environment they're in. They tried something different, going to new locations, and it does really work well. It's very dystopian and stuff. But with the first film, with Blade Runner, it's definitely a very synthetic villain, which is named Roy, who's a replicant. And the speech at the end, and pretty much the reason why he's doing all this, is kind of really makes you feel sorry for him. The same way like Thanos, for example, Infinity War, like the reason why he's doing it, compared to like Endgame, where you had a more psychotic reason. But that's what I like with villains, because villains should be exactly like with their own goals, with their own reason, not just, I just like to take over the world because I fuck you.
Yeah, like the Night King.
Like, they should have a reason. Like, you could literally swap them perspectives and see them as a hero, and it'll still work. But obviously, they're the ones that lose. So you know what I mean? I like villains like that. And
well, what's that saying? The best villain is the villain that thinks he's doing the right thing. It's always the villain that thinks he's doing the good thing that's the best, you know.
The villain is the hero of his own story.
Yeah, exactly.
No person sees themselves as evil.
Yeah.
No,
Unless they're twirling their mustache on a 50s cartoon. My favorite movie. It's so hard for me to have like a favorite movie. Like
your top.
What's your favorite episode? That's another question.
Of Star Wars? Empire Strikes Back. I mean, that's a given.
That's your favorite film, then.
I do have like a favorite I don't say guilty pleasure because it is a good movie. I love Die Hard, the first Die Hard. I love most of them except for the last one was trash.
It's my favorite Christmas film.
Yes, it is a Christmas film. There's actually a commercial in the U.S. about that. Did I tell you about that? So there's a commercial for a cable provider in the U.S. and Santa Claus is sitting on the couch and he's flipping channels, and the cable guy comes out and he goes, "Santa Claus, what are you trying to do?" And Santa goes, "I'm trying to find my favorite Christmas movie." And he goes, "Oh, you don't have to flip the channels. Just tell the TV, it's a voice-activated remote." He goes, "Tell the TV what you want." And Santa looks left, he looks right, he goes, "Die Hard." And I was like, Die Hard comes on, I was like, yeah! I was like, I've been telling you motherfuckers for years it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, Die Hard I love. Of course, Empire Strikes Back. It's hard to... Yeah, I'm just going to stay with that because otherwise I'll just drag on. Next question. What's your favorite fictional character? Why are they your favorite? This was asked by Fiery Jedi. I think actually I have an answer to that for me. I have a couple, but I'm gonna go to the old Star Wars books, and Jason Solo is basically who Kylo Ren is currently, but he had a much better turn to the dark side. He had a valid reason. He was the hero of his own story. He turns to the dark side, but he did it to protect his family, to protect the galaxy, because he starts having visions of this like evil Sith that's coming. And what?
So we can do books?
Huh?
We can do books.
It says fictional character, so that he's a fictional character.
I'm just wondering.
So and he has this connection with Anakin because that's his grandfather, and he can look in the past. He's gone through all this really cool character development, like, and eventually he does get defeated by his sister, Jaina Solo, and it's just he's just a really good character. That and I'm thinking of Star Wars right now, so that's why I'm that and Revan. Revan is an amazing character in Knights of the Republic. And it's such a good story. And if they do Old Republic movies and they have Revan in it and they fuck it up, I might check out. I might be done after that. I'd be like, fuck Star Wars.
You first. You me.
I say mine is probably a really popular one. I'll say probably I grew up with like Batman and stuff, so I think he's probably my favorite fictional character. Not like favorite superhero. I still think that's probably like Captain America now because I think he's really well done in game and stuff. But I think the one that has the most like character development in any superhero ever is Batman, and I feel like no matter which version I read or watch or play, especially Arkham Knight series or like the Christopher Nolan films, I think that's my favorite Batman trilogy. Not like it used to be the Tim Burton one, but then I think Nolan just beats it out of the park. And so much, it's told us so many times. Like we already know his parents die in the alley by a robber. We've seen that so many times, but
where'd you hear that?
Because it's engraved in our heads, a way how Bruce Wayne works, and they try different versions. Like I love Batman in Batman v Superman. Like I love Ben Affleck's portrayal. I love his goal. But it's just everything else about the film sucked. Like, I hated Luthor. The stupidest reason they stopped fighting. Oh, my mother's small for two. Oh, we should be friends. Oh, that was a stupid move. Like, but everything like beforehand, like why Batman has a thing for Superman I think it was really good. Like so many versions of it, and most of it's good. Most of it. I'm not, apart from Batman and Robin, I hated that film. But majority of it is being well portrayed.
Mr. Freeze! Mr. Freeze!
Y'all.
I'm going to turn you to ice cubes!
Favorite part is the Batman credit card. He's like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows my favorite portrayal is going to be Adam West.
Adam West.
Oh, my.
Let's see. Favorite character. Okay, in a book, it would be Aragon. It's from the book itself, Aragon.
Oh, yeah.
Movie.
Those are good. The movie was bad, but the books were good.
The books are amazing. And he has, like, an entire thing where he's, like, he's just a farm boy. He becomes a dragon rider.
Yeah.
He breaks his back and becomes an elf. And it's just, like, an amazing story. And he's a really good character. And it's, like, 4 books. They're, like, 4,000 pages or something. They should make a game of series against on that. That'd be really
cool.
But I guess movie wise, it's definitely gonna be Iron Man. I'm being a Marvel still here, but Iron Man has been the
awesome.
Rock MCU, and he's amazing. And I kind of have a personal attachment because our name is Jarvis, and he says Jarvis, and I'm just like, oh no,
he's talking to me.
He's talking to me. Okay, I love him 3,000. It's okay.
All right, let's see. So Anubis asked a question that we answered. How do you keep consistent character development over long period storytelling? We talked about that with bringing characters over to sequels. He asked, everyone thoughts on James Cameron's Avatar and its sequels. My answer is, that shit happened 9 years ago. I don't care anymore.
I don't care.
I'm sure I'll go see it, but I'm not hyped for it at all. I'm just like, it's been 9 years.
I don't remember the movie.
He announced Avatar 5 before Avatar 2. I was like, where the hell is he?
And they pushed the sequels back. Disney they pushed them back another year again. Yeah. I think for Star Wars, if I remember right.
I never liked Avatar.
I liked it.
Yeah, the 3D was good. But,
I mean,
it's just Pocahontas.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like, it's sci-fi Pocahontas. Like, I told when that movie came out, I was a senior in high school in 2010, and I was with my high school sweetheart. We watched it for the first time, and she said that, and I was like, oh my god, you're the best. Like, because I had said that when I'm like, this is like Pocahontas, but with aliens, and ships. I mean, it was good. I mean, I'm okay with taking like a classic story and updating it. But I liked it, but I don't care about the sequels at this point. And I didn't even realize that the girl, the main character of Avatar, is Gamora. I didn't even know that. Like, I had no idea. I just recently found that out. I was like, oh, it shows how much I pay attention to Marvel.
Well, you can't see underneath the paint, so it's like...
Yeah.
But for like, the only reason it's number one in the box office is because it was the first film to use 3D glasses, and it was promoting us so much.
Was it?
And it was
it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And that's how it made so much money, because it was too expensive they racked up the price. So that's why it was like.
It was good though. I mean, honestly, it was a good movie.
I thought it was meh. I thought it was just meh. But Endgame's just going to beat it by far.
I'm sure it will.
Endgame deserves it, to be honest.
Yeah. Like I said, and there's a question about that. We'll get to that. So Anubis also asked, what does everyone think of the live-action Disney movies, the new ones? I guess that's Lion King, Dumbo, and Aladdin. Dumbo came out already, right?
Yeah,
shows how much I cared about Dumbo.
Yeah, I see it, but I didn't like it because it felt like it wasn't about Dumbo. Like, most of the characters from the original cartoon weren't there. Yeah. Like the mouse, he wasn't in there at all. Yeah. It was all about the humans and Danny DeVito, and it's just, what are you doing? Even my favorite bit from the pink elephants bit was only in it for like 30 seconds. It was bad. So with like the other ones, like Aladdin and the Lion King, like, yeah, it's been really faithful, but it's so pointless. It's like, it's very nostalgic, I get that, but like, you're doing your own twist of something that's already been done before. Do something different. Like the Alice in Wonderland live action films did something different. It was a sequel, no remake, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
And the sequel of the sequel, which is Through the Looking Glass. That's fine. And same with like the Winnie the Pooh film, like with Christopher Robin growing up. That's fine. That's like a remake / sequel. I'm fine with doing that. It's just when you're literally remaking something in live action that looks like Lion King's not even live action, it's all animal CG, so that's a lie.
Don't lie to me.
But you're adding the same songs in, you're adding the same scenes, just remade in CG, and it's just all it is, just nostalgic value, and I think that's just obviously it's just there to make a profit, and it's just really sickening. I think
like
just go watch. I mean, just go watch the original cartoons. They have much more passion and animation in it, and I feel like these were just made just because to make money.
Digital's rant, ladies and gentlemen. Child crushed.
It hurts, and they don't care about. Like, they do care, but they just using it as the advantage. Cause
that's how I feel about Star Wars. So I'm right with you on that. But Tempest, I know you're trying to say something.
Okay. Well, okay. So banking on nostalgia is basically how they're making their money, because nobody wants to make something new.
Yep.
It's generally kind of hard. Also, they are not going to have all the Dumbo characters because movie's kind of racist. I mean...
Oh, that was it's like
so they're definitely not going to do that.
I don't think I've ever watched Dumbo, to be honest, so that I'm out of this conversation.
It's okay. I mean, there's literally someone named Jim Crow.
Oh, yeah.
That movie was made in the 30s,
yeah,
40s?
Yeah, but that's why they're not all the characters.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just a couple more questions. We're almost done. What is your views on MCU? And he said minus Endgame. So without Endgame, I don't know why we wouldn't talk about Endgame. But screw it, we'll talk about Endgame. What are your thoughts on the MCU and the conclusion of this story? 10 years they've been doing this. First time ever in cinema that this has been done. 22 movies? 20? How many? 23? It's insane.
Infinity War is the better movie, but Endgame is the best it could have possibly had.
Yeah.
And then all the other ones are great, besides Thor 2 and Incredible Hulk. You can cut them out and nothing will be lost. There you go.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, like... what was it? Like, It's the same thing with adding like two lead directors in, but now they got like the right ones in, like Russo brothers and James Gunn.
They're leaving.
Like James Gunn was like the epitome of like Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's why people like when he got fired, like everyone just wanted to abandon ship until they obviously brought him back in for Guardians 3, and that's the reason why you should like keep consistent. But then obviously when you got like other people who has a change of passion or like someone that can do the job properly, aka like Russo brothers and Tahiti, keep him in, and it's just and that's why I love like Thor Ragnarok and like Endgame and all these newer films, because they finally got it right. I think like when you look at Dark Worlds, they did something that really did not anyone liked, and then they just changed his character, and I believe these newer Marvel films, I believe, again, right on track. So I'm really looking for the future of Marvel, honestly. Like with Doctor Strange 2. Yeah, with Captain Marvel 2. I mean, that's Brie Larson's fault, not freaking what everyone else is doing. Like, I did like Captain Marvel. It's just,
I like it too. I just don't like the actress, and you can tell that the other actors don't care for her either.
No one does.
It's awkward as hell watching some of those interviews with like, especially Don. Was it Don Cheadle? I don't think he likes her at all.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, and Chris.
So like obviously the new Spider-Man film, it's portraying like it's literally post-credit scenes of Endgame. They're calling it, and it's pretty much just right after Endgame. And it looks like they're making him the new Iron Man, or at least the new leader of the Avengers, which I think is very sweet. Even though I think they're trying. If you've seen the trailer, they're trying to make him like Iron Man, like the new face of the MCU, like Iron Man was. But obviously, I think it might be Captain Marvel because obviously they want a woman in because it pleases the SJWs. But it really should be Spider-Man because
went there.
He's the most famous one. Well, that's what they're trying to do.
No,
but
really.
But the Captain Marvel in the comics is failing. She does not work in the Marvel comics now. So
I don't know
if that doesn't work, that's not going to work in the film. So but you got Stan Lee's favorite superhero he created, aka Spider-Man. Just do that.
There's a problem with that because Sony owns half of him, so that you can't really make him the face.
Well, I mean, now they've got they can pretty much confirm multiverse. They can.
Well, yeah. Well, what they're going to do is take Tom Holland again.
Yeah, they might bring Tom Holland to the Sonyverse, so who knows at this point, but anything can happen in the MCU now, but I think it'll be great.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Like I said,
if James Gunn comes back, he'll be the only director who has directed a trilogy, like fully, like all three of them.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Well, he did they announced he'll
be the only one that did all three movies of his trilogy.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
Damn, if only they could do that for Star Wars.
Oh.
Now it's
gotta always roll it back.
Hey man, I call it like I see it. Now half of the main cast of the old movies is dead. Peter Mayhew just passed away.
I wonder how they do Leia, because she doesn't die in the film, but obviously Carrie Fisher's dead.
She should have died in Last Jedi.
So JJ said that her scenes are deleted scenes from Force Awakens, but in the trailer, it's clearly Rey's new outfit hugging Carrie. So I don't know if they did like a rotoscoping thing with Carrie's face, from Force Awakens, some movie magic. But they said that they would not do a 3D face of Leia. They would not do that. So it's either it has to be footage from Force Awakens or cut from Last Jedi that they've photoshopped and put into the scene kind of thing.
Speaking of that, what do you think they're gonna do for Stan Lee cameos now that he's gone?
Well, I just don't do it.
I don't think they'll do it anymore.
I think his last one is Spider-Man Far From Home. I think that's his actual finish, like last one. But
what they should do is start getting Kevin Feige his thingies, because he's kind of like headed the...
Probably, yeah.
That'd be okay with that.
Or Robert Downey Jr., like an AI version of him.
But everybody would... I bet you meant cameos. Cause like
I know, but I do know in Spider-Man Far From Home that they're going to have Chris Evans again for like the videos of Captain America. So, detention. So it's gonna have more of that, like. So that's technically his last film, like. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I'm sorry, guys, if I skipped your question. If it was Machinima related, we can answer these when we do the Guardian Con podcast. So we've answered so many Machinima questions over these that I wanted to stay on topic about different stuff today. Last question. I'm gonna skip his Machinima version of the question, but he asked his main question was what makes an effective villain. We kind of talked about that already. A villain. We kind of agreed. A villain that thinks they're the hero of their own story. How about this? What is your favorite villain? Favorite effective villain?
What do you mean by like their plan kind of succeeded, or?
Like what makes a good villain? Just a good, interesting villain, and for me, I'm gonna go a weeb right now. I love Darth Vader. I mean, that's a given. But I mean, how many times has Darth Vader been said? Honestly, my favorite villain in anything is Griffith from Berserk, and the reason is I don't know if you guys ever know anything about Berserk or not, but So he's kind of teetering a little bit, and then something happens to him. So it's kind of like what happens to Greyjoy boy in Game of Thrones, but worse. What's his name? He gets tortured and shit. Theon. So it's like he gets tortured for Griffith gets tortured all these years, and they save him, and like he has this dream of like now wanting to be with his second in command, who's a female, but now she's with someone else, and stuff just goes way downhill, but it's just like it makes sense for him to do what he did, and even as a villain, after he gets established as a villain, he's still doing good things. It's interesting. Like he's still building a kingdom and making people safe and doing all this benevolent shit, but he's still like this horrible person. He's just a fascinating character to me. I could go on and on about Berserk and Griffith, and actually, today in the mail, I just got the first Berserk leather, trade back of the manga. They're doing this now, this leather huge version, and I'm getting all of them. So I just got that.
My favorite villain is Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad. He is he's calm, collected, but you know why he started doing this business is because his partner was killed right in front of him, and so he's gone into the meth business to make money, basically in his name, and it's great because he goes against Walter White, who's a villain in his own right.
Yeah.
And he ends up losing, but he walks out of there like a badass, like half his face blown off, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's a great villain, and the fact that Walter White really couldn't beat him without resorting to trickery.
Yeah. Well, I got three. Obviously, I mentioned Roy from Blade Runner. He's definitely one of my liked ones. And obviously, I think Thanos is definitely a really great one. Yep. Because, especially recently. But I think my favorite one, I know I said Batman's my favorite, superhero. Or, kind of, I think, my favorite villain is probably Joker. I think the same way of, Batman's done so much, development over the years. It's the same with Joker, really. You can't have Batman without Joker, honestly. And I think, what they've done with the character over the years is just done different takes, and I think every single one, apart from one or two, but that's been really good. And I think my favourite one is probably Heath Ledger's Joker. I think that's something that he's portrayed something very well. It's so different as well, but in a different way, a more terrorist clown, rather than just a crazy clown that just obsession with Batman. It's just he has his own goals. He was brought up differently. He got his backstory different from the previous ones, how I got these scars kind of thing. What I really didn't like was Jared Leto's Joker. That was awful. But the one I
didn't like Gangster Joker.
We should really talk about the DCEU and how horrible that is.
But I think the Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is going to be really good. I can't wait to see that. Yeah. I really don't like the DCEU as a whole. I think they are getting good now with Aquaman, Shazam. I actually like Shazam.
I didn't see Shazam.
They really... Oh, it's good.
I heard it was really good, though.
Much better than Captain Marvel, I say.
Ooh.
That came out in the same month.
Bum bum bum.
Yeah. But yeah, they're finally getting it good, and simply because Jack Snyder and Joss Whedon are not good at the DC, so they got rid of them, got new people in, but now they're finally back on track. They're doing Jack Batman again, revamping him again. I'm not sure about Superman, but Wonder Woman's been good anyway.
I think the Superman story, like, he's invulnerable except for, like, one thing. Unless he goes out to space and fights space people, that's the only way. That's the only way Captain Marvel works too. Because I mean, unless they go out to space and fight space people, they're ridiculously.
That's the problem with making a really overpowered character. It's just like what you need to make weaknesses, and it's just the stupidest reason. You obviously with Superman, green rocks,
green rocks.
It's like, come on. So, like, he's a very flawed character. I never liked Superman. He's just such... And his disguise is the worst. Oh. Come on. If someone punches him in glasses, my identity!
My identity.
Alright guys, that's all the time we have for this podcast. Thank you all for sending in your questions. I will save the Machinima related ones for July's live podcast. If we haven't answered them in other ones, we can answer them there. Guys, before we go ahead and talk about anything exciting coming up for your shows, your channels, whatnot, and we'll be done.
Yeah. Fighting Weeds episode 2 of season 3 is out May 25th. And also, as you know, Zeon's going to have a DMU booth with Team Titan t-shirts. There's also going to be a Fighting Team Weasel t-shirt, which is exclusive to that booth. They'll be right there, so if you are going to Guardian Con, you can also buy a Fighting Team Weasel shirt that you can't buy online. So get your ass down there, meet us, and get your t-shirt.
We'll be getting a bunch of messages on Discord. Hey, I'll send you the money on PayPal. Buy a shirt for me.
On PayPal. Are we doing autographs? No, I'm not famous enough. What's coming up on my channel? I'll be having my episode, let's say this Saturday, because I'm in the process of editing it.
Well, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be Saturday.
You know what? Don't even worry about it. There's a new episode coming out.
I'm super busy this week.
Thanks to Mr. Zeon over there. I'll see y'all at Guardian Con.
Woo!
I will announce my Guardian Con update in my channel anyway, just if you actually stayed to listen to the whole thing, but I'll say the same thing on my video, but yeah, that's my update.
Alright guys, I'm in the process of finishing Season 2 script. I'm 70% done with it, so I hope to be done with it hopefully by June. I'm hoping that Season 2 Episode 1 comes out sometime in August. Like I said, summer. August is still technically the summer. So as long as that comes out by August, I'll make my promise. I don't like to break them. So, and I am going to MegaCon on Friday. This video will probably come out after that. So there'll be a bunch of new pictures. I've been working on a cosplay for like a Fallout-ish type thing, and I'm almost done with that. So I'm really excited to do that. And like I said, Guardian Con, I will have a Zeon Remnants booth. And it'll have props, ghost shells, t-shirts like the one I have now, the Team Hunter one, Team Warlock, Gambit coins, strange coins, ghosts like that, but customized with lights in the eyes and all kind of cool stuff. And we'll be raffling off the Drake's Promise for charity for St. Jude's Hospital, and and the Tempest will be the show.
Make sure to wear my heels, get my
So I'm super busy this summer, and I'm really excited. I'm really anxious about a lot of stuff, so it's looking good. And Rage 2 just came out, and I'm like the only one excited for it. So I have like the collector's edition that I'm gonna play. So there's that. But thank you all so much for watching, supporting us. Please, if you haven't already, I assume if you're watching this, you're subscribed to our channels, because why the fuck would you be watching this otherwise? You're like, hey, these guys look kind of cool. Let me see what they're going to talk about. So if you haven't subscribed to all our channels, keep the support coming, and we'll keep the Machinima flowing. Thank you all. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.